And welcome back to News Center. Thank you very much for staying with us. So before we get to what's trending, I want us to cross over live to Mombasa and speak to my colleague Francis Ontomo. I understand that Suleiman Shabhal, who is the Jubilee gubernatorial candidate for the Mombasa gubernatorial position, is currently addressing the media. Let's just cross over there and listen in.
GDP of Kenya, 20% of the exports of Kenya, and here in Mombasa, employing over 50,000 people. Clearly, it is an alarm bell being raised. And what I'm seeing is that Mombasa has to up its game. Mombasa has to create a more enabling environment for the business community to prosper and to do well here in Mombasa. And I am equally and deeply concerned that Unilever, when they set up its fast packaging plant, they chose to take it to Dubai rather than to bring it here, where all the tea comes from. This auction auctions teas from 10 different countries. It is the benchmark. India, Sri Lanka, and all other tea traders all over the world are watching the results of today's auction. So to me, it doesn't make sense that the largest tea plant is set up in a country which doesn't even consume not even 1% of what is packed there. So clearly we need to change the way we're doing business. And it goes back to my key economic strategy for Mombasa, the need to create our own free zone so that we can create an enabling environment for such value addition companies to come in here. We cannot afford and we will not allow this tea auction to leave Mombasa if we can do it. I think the time has come that the city of Mombasa starts to look at how we can change the operating system that we have here. Many of the tea companies are in Shimanzi. The infrastructure in Shimanzi is terrible. I had a meeting with one of the tea companies, Kericho Gold, and they were thinking of expanding their factory here, but chose not to do it because of the environment in this city. And I think this tea auction is a barometer of how we must change the way we do things in Mombasa, and we must modernize. I'm with the MD of the IATA, and I think he also has a few points to add on to this issue. But the most important thing, we cannot allow a business of 100 billion turnover to leave Mombasa. It would be an economic disaster for us.
On my part, as a managing director of East African Tea Trade Association, I would say Mombasa has been a conducive environment in terms of hosting the various companies. IATA covers membership across the value chain, but the biggest part of the value chain is in Mombasa. We have the packers, we have the warehouses, brokers, and the exporters. We only have the producers upstream. So the core component really lies in Mombasa, and that shows the import of Mombasa as the largest tea auction in the world. The other component is clearly that most of the transactions, what makes Mombasa attractive is that the teas are sold through they're dollar denominated. So transactions up at the auction are all dollar denominated. And importantly, so again, we have the automation. What is taking place at the auction currently is live streamed. So all the producers, wherever they are able to make out what is taking place at the auction currently. So it is televised as we are discussing. But we're moving to another notch. This auction is moving to be automated. So in place of the broker hitting the hammer, we will have laptops. So the buyers will be able to press buttons to pick out the teas they require, spot on. So that will be the only shift. But in terms of presence, we still look at Mombasa as a preferred choice of doing business.
I'm looking at a time very quickly, immediately after elections, when we will set up our own free zone here and set up proper warehouses and work with industry to put up packaging companies that will manufacture packaging materials so that we can do our own value addition and our own packing here. It will be 10 times more value for the economy of Kenya. And Today we're employing 50,000 employees in the tea industry. This number can rise to 500,000 once we start doing value addition right here in Mombasa. And all it requires is county government to cooperate with the national government to make sure that we put together the facilities that are required. And the financing is available. AFA has money to help in value addition. Trademark, as you can see, has contributed $1.5 million for the automation of this industry. I want to remind you that the Chicago Board of Trade was manual also at one time, similar to what is happening here. But as soon as they went automatic, the volumes shot up by more than 600% in the first year. So it is imperative that Mombasa looks at industries like this one, where we have a competitive advantage. 10 countries are selling their teas here. It's the largest tea auction in the world. This is something Mombasa has to be proud of. And now when we see even a suggestion of moving this auction out of here, it is alarm bells that the county government should have been jumping immediately to see what we need to do differently and to immediately arrest this potential economic loss that the city of Mombasa could face. I think we have a fantastic, unique, international operation here that we need to really focus on, capitalize and improve on it. And it is part of the Jubilee government's agenda to focus on value addition, and we'll work on it. And Mombasa has to lead from the front. That's why I believe my visit to this auction today is so important. This is extremely important to the city of Mombasa and to Kenya in general. We cannot afford to lose this auction.
And maybe before we move to other topics, maybe the MD can explain to us the origin of this issue of the auction moving from Mombasa to other places and where exactly?
The motivation would be when we look at the SGR coming to Mombasa, it will now take a shorter time for any commodity to get to Mombasa, for one. Two, we are moving automation. Now, when we have automation, unless we have appropriate incentives in Mombasa, the teas may as well be purchased from any location. You don't have to be physically present within the auction to buy the teas. You can purchase it from the comfort of your office, from the comfort of your residence. But if they are conducive, we continue to have conducive and flourishing environment in terms of good infrastructure, for example, access to Shimanzi, access to the various places where we have warehouses, we have good, appropriate levies which are attractive. You see, a business person looks at also what does he get in turn from the county government. So this will motivate the players still to behold and be within Mombasa. So this is precisely where we are. And possibly we should be looking at something like a common user facility. You have a warehouse within that facility. You have parking facilities, machinery. If you cannot afford to buy your own equipment, what happens in places like in Dubai? You only hire, you say you have so much of quantities, and they will prepare for you the packaging material, and there you are, you only pick it on order. You can see that kind of facility. We would have many entrepreneurs who may not manage to buy that equipment, but they can get it on rental basis through such an agreed arrangement. So that's the way the county government needs to be looking at. That's the way we need to go. So I do believe with all these assurances given in terms of moving forward, we shall still continue to have this particular auction facility in Mombasa. All we need is that assurance of continued support and a favorable, conducive environment.
What are these forces behind this? What are these forces perhaps behind the plan to deny Mombasa this?
No. I think you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. Okay, Nick Munye did not say that they are going to do this, but Nick Munye in his speech, which I have here, just raised a very interesting point where he says, sticking to the theme of innovation, IATA should ask itself critical questions. For example, with automation and the development of SGR, if there's a compelling reason why IATA needs to continue being in Mombasa. It is just a suggestion. But to me, it's not just a suggestion, it's a serious warning bell that if we do not up our game, if Mombasa does not start creating competitive advantages, we will lose this market to Dubai. The DMCC in Dubai today already provides warehousing, it provides packaging equipment, it provides packaging materials, it enhances the facilities, the infrastructure facilities there. Traders are business people. They will go where the best environment is. Now, I'm saying for the first time, Mombasa has something that is world-class, that has a huge competitive advantage. We cannot allow it to leave Mombasa. We have to do whatever it takes to create the environment that we need to ensure this business does not leave Mombasa. We are going to compete with Dubai. We're going to outperform Dubai and make sure that tea stays here and our business stays here and increases and creates more employment. This is why I keep on talking about the free zone as the key economic driver for my policy for Mombasa. We'll work on it.
There has been a similar talk, especially on the issue of the port. We've had the current
my policy for Mombasa.
All right, Suleiman Shabhal there, speaking at the Mombasa Tea Auction. He's talked about quite a number of issues, but one of the issues that he's talked about, and something that has also been part of his campaign message, is the economic free zone. Says that this is one of the things that he feels will spur economic growth for the business community down in Mombasa. We'll be getting more detail from our colleague Francis Ontomo in our subsequent bulletins in regards to that and that tea auction.